How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Binance senior execs quit over CEO's response to investigations. So, 4 senior officials at the company, including General Counsel Han Ng, Chief Strategy Officer Patrick Hillman, and SVP for Compliance Stephen Christie, told Zhao they are leaving the company. The departures follow the recent exit of Matthew Price, a former IRS agent at Binance who was placed in charge of global investigations and intelligence. These are all people that were responsible for anything regulatory-wise, and they are all leaving. So they don't like Zhao's response, and they are leaving because he wants his control and his say, and doesn't want to comply to the degree they should probably. So this could be a foreshadowing of some more issues to come for them. CFTC Mulls filing fresh case against Celsius Network, former CEO Mashinsky. So Alex Mashinsky ran Celsius, which was a popular crypto lending platform, and they froze withdrawals in June 2022. They cited extreme market conditions and filed for bankruptcy about a month later. So they weren't transparent with their customers of what was going on. So the CFTC Enforcement Unit attorneys have reportedly determined that under the leadership of Mashinsky, they misled investors and should have registered with the regulator. This is a matter where the CFTC can decide if they want to review and make a case in court or not, but it'll all be up to the CFTC if they want to press charges or not. But there are some things here that should not have happened. Bitfinex recovers $314,000 of the $3.6 billion stolen in 2016 Bitcoin hack. So, crypto exchange Bitfinex today announced that it had recovered $312,219 in cash and 6.9 in Bitcoin Cash today. This was some funds that were stolen during the 2016 hack. This is a drop in the bucket compared to the billions of dollars. But the exchange said it received the assets from the United States Department of Homeland Security, so Homeland Security was able to help recover some of these assets. Hackers made away with around 120,900 BTC in the hack, which was currently worth $3.6 billion. So that's where the figure comes from for the total value. So there's quite a bit that was stolen there. The recovered assets will be given to holders of Bitfinex's recovery rights token, digital coins that were issued to users who lost money during the hack. So anyone else isn't going to get any of that money, rightfully so. So Bitcoin, our total market cap, I was looking at Bitcoin, our total market cap is starting to fall. We got a little bit of a gap down here that could form and confirm, so we may be able to kind of get a gap back up and push some momentum to the upside from that. So I would keep an eye on that. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen today. It could happen a week or 2 weeks from now. Our stochastic is starting to fall. RSI is starting to slide. Momentum is starting to come down. Our money flow is still riding around this 4 zone. Doesn't know where it wants to go. And our VWAP is falling out on us. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are trying to get a little bit of a recovery. As you can see, our total is kind of getting a drop. So that suggests money is moving into Bitcoin. You can see we're way over this value area high here. So our RSI is trying to make a bit of a bounce here. Stochastic's trying to make a bit of a bounce, but it's still weak. Our momentum is trying to print a green dot as our VWAP broke bullish. So we'll have to see if that can continue and push us higher. Our money flow still looks like it wants to inch its way out though, so I would exercise some caution. We look at the 4-hour, money flow is still bearish. 2-hour, money flow is still bearish, but coming up to try and retest. And the 1-hour, the money flow is bullish, so if this can sustain, that could lead to more further price action upwards. Or at least more people rolling from Bitcoin, from altcoins into Bitcoin. So our futures, we are kind of starting to round. We have a little bit of a gap down currently. Our stochastic is pushing down, RSI is pushing down, momentum's coming out, VWAP's pushing down rather aggressively, and our money flow is pushing down pretty aggressive as well, and making a new low relative to the last few days. So we could come back down and test this value area high we have. Over on Bitcoin, we are kind of getting a bit of a dump. We did try to come back in, test this channel, and then we just got rejected. looks like we could reject away from this value, this resistance that we did have. So it is not going to become support, and it is now our resistance again. We're pushing away. We got rejected sort of from this higher value area about 3,002 or 30,002. So if we aren't able to push back up in the last few minutes and hold, we could see a rejection of this area. And if we do break through this 29.6 area, we could then see a drop to our point of control right around this, 28K. So right in the middle of our golden pocket. At which point, if we start getting close to that golden pocket, you know that if you've been paying attention lately, it's very easy to get sucked one way or another pretty quickly. And sometimes you can just chop sideways because it's really hard to get out of this zone because it's a manipulation zone. Stochastic is pushing down pretty hard. RSI is curling away pretty hard. Money flow is trying to bounce off that neutral. VWAP is rejecting away. Our momentum's coming down with a bearish divergence. So overall, our signals aren't looking too strong. I'd just keep an eye out. This also does signal that buyers tried to push us higher, and they ultimately were suppressed by the bears. So this could be indicative of a kind of rounding top. Just keep an eye on it. We have an X here that is a manipulation X, second one we got. So relative to here, so once you get these pairs, sometimes you get some drops. Sometimes you don't really get much, and then you'll get another one, and then you'll drop. So just keep an eye out, especially since this one does seem to be dropping us. RSI is starting to fall, Stochastic's starting to fall. Our money flow overall is still struggling to gain new highs, and we did reject away from a 14, which seems to be a pretty decent support resistance area for it. Our VWAP is trying to make a higher low, so our VWAP wants to push up, but overall we are in the bearish territory. Our momentum is coming down as our VWAP's in the bearish territory, so just keep an eye on if the VWAP can manage to curl up and break bullish strongly. Over on the 2 hour, we are getting a little bit of a push away. You can see we got a little bit of a retest, came back up, shot up, wicked, and kind of just broke down from there. Our Stochastic is pushing down pretty hard. RSI is starting to fall away. Our money flow did pull into the bearish territory here for the 2 hour. So it has led from the 1 hour to the 2 hour. Just keep an eye out. If it leads to the 4 hour, we could see even more downside. Our momentum is pushing lower. So overall, our signals are pointing down more than up, at least on the lower time frames. The 1 hour RSI is pointing down pretty aggressively. Stochastic's pretty beat down. Our VWAP is starting to fall away from that neutral line. And our money flow is trying to make a new low as of this trend that we broke in, so we could see a new low, and that could drag us even lower. So everything's looking pretty weak on these lower time frames. We may get some sort of bounce since we did kind of fall pretty quickly, but we also did rise pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind. Over on the daily for graph, we are getting a little bit of a rejection from our Fibonacci range, so it is possible we could see some lower price targets. So we could see a bounce off this point of control right around this 9.9 area, about 10 cents. Stochastic is pushing down with a bearish divergence. RSI is starting to reject away, and our momentum starting to curl with a red dot. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory and starting to break down, but it's not too strong currently, so if it does manage to round up, that could give us a green dot in the momentum and try and save us. Our money flow is trying to get higher lows, but overall we did reject away from the neutral a couple candles ago, and we are just slightly inching our way out here. Over on the 4 hour, Stochastic's pretty beat down, has a big bearish divergence. Our RSI is falling, momentum is in the bearish territory and starting to fall away. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory, trying to come up. Our money flow is heading down overall. It did make a little bit of a bounce, but it seems to be sticking around this 8 to 10 area. So if we don't get pushed through here, we could see another bounce off that neutral or even a break through it. Over on the 2 hour, Stochastic is pushing down pretty hard. RSI is kind of just chopping away. Our money flow is in the bearish territory, and our VWAP wants to break through that neutral and give our momentum a green dot. So we'll have to see if that can actually break through with some conviction, but everything else is kind of pointing against it. Over on the 1 hour, our RSI is kind of chopping away here too. Stochastic's really not going anywhere. Has a bullish cross, but looks like it could start to round off. Our VWAP did break into the bullish territory, but not very strongly. If you saw, we just flashed a red dot and then took it away, so we are getting some bearish signals that we could push down lower. Our money flow is rejecting away, so keep an eye if that red dot prints, as if it does, then that could help push us lower, as that VWAP would start to break into the bearish territory. Over on Anchor for the daily, we're coming down to our value area low here. So we rejected away pretty harshly from this support resistance around 2.7. Our stochastic is curling pretty hard. RSI is pointing down. Our momentum is getting a red dot and could come down. Our VWAP is pushing into the bearish territory, and our money flow looks like it could get a rejection off this neutral zone. So if that does happen, we could see a break of this value area low and some further downside. Over on the 4 hour, we are kind of falling away here, still making that sloppy double top. We do have this manipulation X pushing us down. RSI is falling, stochastic is falling very weak. Our money flow is trying to bounce off that neutral zone and get some momentum behind it, but we'll have to see if that can sustain itself. Stochastic's pretty beat down. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory, kind of trying to make new lows, but trying to get a little bit of a rebound. So keep an eye if it does make a rebound. If we get to this neutral area and break through, that would be good for us, as that would give our momentum a green dot, but overall our momentum's coming down as we are in the bearish territory. Over on the 2 hour, our RSI is overall pushing down, stochastic's pretty beat down and pushing down. Money flow is coming out, about to break through that neutral, so keep an eye on it here. If it flips bearish, that could set us up for more downside. Our VWAP is starting to arch out, so if that does round away, we could see this momentum kind of sharpen out and point down even more. So I would definitely keep an eye on the next few candles, as there's quite a few lanes on the verge of bearish or bullish action. Over on the 1 hour, our RSI is overall falling, stochastic is overall falling. We tried to come up, but we're overall arching out. We have a slight bullish divergence that wants to push us higher. We'll have to see if that can actually play out, but it doesn't look too hopeful. Our money flow, it did get bounced off that neutral, but it's coming back for another retest, so keep an eye on that. Our VWAP is also struggling to maintain any kind of a trend. Our momentum doesn't know where it wants to go, it's just kind of riding along here. So I would keep an eye on if the money flow goes bearish, and if the VWAP breaks bearish as well, because those could set us up for another downswing. Over on XRP, we are getting a little bit of a push down here. Get our volume profile. We did break our value area high here. So our next point would be this golden area around 38, or this point of control around 37.8. Stochastic is pointing down, heading down. RSI is falling. Our money flow is trying to go bullish, but overall everything else is going bearish on us. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory and pushing down. Our momentum has a red dot, so that momentum could carry further downwards. Over on the 4 hour, our RSI is overall starting to arch out. Our stochastic's getting lower highs and pushing down. Our money flow is struggling to maintain any bullish momentum as it keeps hitting this neutral line, so it may break through soon. Our VWAP is trying to come up with a new low, or higher low, so that is good for us. But if we get rejected, we could see some further downside. Our momentum wants to come up for a curl as our VWAP's trying to come up, so I would keep an eye on if we get a green dot or not. That would be kind of dependent on these lower time frames. Our stochastic is pretty oversold, so our stochastic's pretty beat down. RSI is losing strength, our money flow is in the bearish territory, and our VWAP is trying to break bullish, so watch the VWAP closely. If it breaks bullish here and sustains, that could help push the 4 hour up. We have a double green dot in our momentum that wants to curl up, so that would also depend on that VWAP to push through. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic starting to round out. Our RSI is starting to round off with lower highs. Money flow is rounding off and struggling to stay above that neutral. VWAP's doing the same. Our momentum is getting a red dot, so that momentum could start to push down as our VWAP's trying to break through the bearish territory right now. So kind of like Anchor, where it's flashing some bearish signals on these lower time frames that could bring us even lower. Finally, for Algo on the daily, we are trying to break our value area low, so that is not good for us. If we keep getting red candles here, it's easy to set more downside. Stochastic is starting to fall away, RSI is starting to bend away. Money flow is trying to maintain around this 14 zone, so we'll have to see if we can get push up and get some bullish momentum. Our VWAP is trying to get a little bit of a curl, and our momentum is pushing down overall. Over on the 4 hour, our money flow is in the bearish territory, tried to break bullish and got rejected. Stochastic struggling to gain kind of momentum and heading back down, and our RSI is losing strength because of it. Our momentum is coming down, if I can get the word out. We do have a red dot. Why did we jump like that? We do have a red dot that printed a couple candles ago, so that could push us lower, but this momentum doesn't really have much more lower to go, so if that VWAP does swing back down, you'll probably see it just ride flat here. Over on the 2 hour, we are pushing down pretty decently, rounding out. Stochastic is pretty beat down, RSI is falling. Our money flow is well into the bearish territory, and our VWAP is kind of curling away from that neutral, so if it doesn't break through in the next few candles, we could get a rejection. Our momentum is pushing down, wants to kind of round up here, so that would be kind of dependent on if that VWAP breaks through or not. And last but not least, on the 1 hour, our RSI is overall falling, but we are trying to print green dots that want to push it higher. Our momentum's just flipping around, green and red, doesn't know where it wants to go, if it's bullish or bearish. Our money flow is inching out, and our VWAP is struggling to go bullish, so our VWAP could break through and push us lower. Our stochastic's pretty beat down, so that's dragging our RSI down. So overall, we could see a retest of this Fibonacci zone around that 10 cent, so just keep an eye out for that. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.